Thanks, Gina.
Gina, you a G.
Hey, did you get that package I left on your desk, Gina? That's for you. Enjoy.
when Gina gets that look in her eye.
She was so excited she can't even say anything, bro.
Yo.
I know how she loves her perp, Gina. Bro. She loves that perp. Got her a nice bag of that London perps, dude.
I think it is time that we kick this thing off. What do y'all say?
Let's do it. Spark it up, Gina.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Shedtime podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you to Shedtime. What is Shedtime, you ask? Well, it's code for the consumption of cannabis, but it's much more than that. Shedtime's a state of mind. It's art, it's music, it's cryptocurrency, technology, it's food, it's vaping. It can be whatever you want it to be, as long as you're not letting the bastards get you down, not being a dick, and making it fun. When you're in the shed, it's whatever your mind allows you to create. So now let's get to the Shedtime podcast.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Shedtime podcast, your weekly dose of Shedtime therapy with your boys. And it's good to be back with all of you out there listening. And for those of you catching us on the replays on YouTube, good to see you. Thanks for checking us out. If you're new to it, hope you stick around. Hope you like what you get from us, because you never know what you're gonna get. And speaking of Forrest Gump quotes, have you guys seen this dude, Stoner Gump?
No. Yeah, I've heard about him.
Dude, no, I've not even heard of it, actually.
He's starting to blow up all over the reels and whatever each platform is, TikTok, what have you. But dude, he's just got that Alabama kind of drawl, and his delivery about stoner culture is amazing. Like, he talks about he and his wife making infused chicken pot pies and getting so blasted that they can barely function, and then him forgetting that it's an infused pot pie, throwing the crust outside, and he accidentally gets the squirrel stoned. But man, this dude is slaying me.
Dude, squirrels are definitely one of those animals. They need to chill out, so that's probably good for them. Squirrels are dude, they're number one. I'm not a huge fan of squirrels. I'm cool with them from a distance for sure. I definitely would not be that guy. It's oh man, you can feed the squirrels. Look at this. It's eating out of my hand. I'm nah, I'm good. But dude, they're always hustling. They're due for a chill. They're due to find that fucking shed time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They do too much. Maybe that's how they survive, but they need to chill out.
Red squirrels are evil.
I always thought that gray squirrels were the most motherfucker. That's my experience.
So I've never had a gray squirrel chew holes into my house and get into my ceilings, but I've definitely had that problem with red squirrels.
Oh, I've had that with every color, actually. When I grew up, dude, not when I grew up, where I grew up, we had it was a half-acre lot, right? But it was in a town. But it was I guess in the old days, it would have been the outskirts of town. But it was 200 yards from the main strip. It was not fucking far. And my dad had this big barn in the back. There was probably 35 by 60. It had 2 floors, whatever. And the squirrels would always live in there. Well, every so often they probably got a little cold, and they would try to get into the house, and they'd chew through the soffit, and they'd end up in there. So my dad would put traps out, not kill traps. He would put out live bait or live traps, I guess they're just called. And once we caught them, he would then take them it was probably about, I don't know, 6-7 miles away. And he'd go over a river 3 or 4 times, because it was this river that would kind of meander all around. But it was it would meander a mile off the road each way. So for them to get back to our house was probably pretty tough. And he made this rule that like whenever he caught a squirrel, he would spray paint the squirrel's tail because he didn't want to kill it, right? But he wanted to make sure that like if that squirrel came back, either A, he was going to drive it even fucking further, or B, he would gas it. I mean, like, I can't really, sugarcoat it too much, but like he would like euthanize it, like respectfully, but at the same time, he was killing these squirrels. It didn't happen that often. I think it happened like maybe twice. And the first time that it happened, he actually gave this squirrel like 3 chances, bro. He spray painted the tail white. It was a black squirrel. So he just put like a big old blotch on like the tip of the squirrel's tail that was white. Dude, like 3 weeks later, fucking catches this squirrel. It's got a fucking white spray painted tail. He's like, motherfucker, are you serious? I'm like, he has like 3 kids. He's probably like, I don't want to be a murderer in front of my kids. Like, that's not me. My dad was like never into hunting. So like he didn't have guns to do this shit. So he like spray painted the fucking squirrel's tail again, a different color. So it was like white and orange, like that fluorescent orange. And dude, no joke, like 2 weeks later, bro, that squirrel was back. Well, that squirrel, unfortunately, got put in a burlap sack and then the tailpipe of my dad's truck. But, like, he gave it 2 chances, bro. And, like, it just was like, no, that house is too good. I'm coming back. So, dude, squirrels are fucking Brazilian. I don't actually even know how I got there. I'm also not even stoned yet. Like, but you just spurred my fucking memory.
Yeah, dude. It's because squirrels irritate the shit out of you so damn goddamn much. That's right. I had to say damn goddamn.
Yeah, we never had a squirrel problem. They're around, but
hey, if nothing else, everybody can relate to the squirrels running in the road.
Oh yeah, for sure. But that could be anything: squirrel, cat, dog, person.
You can train a cat and a dog to stay the fuck out the road, though. Squirrels are wild.
Not when they're strays, though, bro. Them strays
it's true. It's true.
Ducking and dodging, bro. I almost ran over a kitten the other day, dude. The only reason why I know I didn't is because I didn't hear any thumps. But I drove right over top. So he must have just fucking tucked down, bro, and he fucking darted out too quick. I couldn't stop. I wasn't about to crash my car for a cat. Sorry, but
I mean, I know this much. We have turkeys that like to run out in the road.
Dude, and that what that would sound like. Yeah.
That can get pretty fucking dangerous because like there are instances of the turkey going like through people's windshields.
Oh yeah,
for sure. Because like, dude, they have like they're the worst flyers in the fucking planet. Like of all birds that actually can fly, they got to be like in the fucking top 5 of like worst, dude. Like they can't get up off the ground quick. They certainly can't fly for more than probably like 75 yards.
Yeah,
like they're not the greatest, and they're big.
Yeah, they're too chunky.
Dude, even a wild turkey weighs like 10, 15 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
Like a decent-sized tom, it's going to weigh that much.
Yeah.
For sure.
100%. I see him in my yard every year. Like, they walk around like they fucking own the neighborhood. And the worst part is that we as human beings stop the big angry machines for them. Like, that, I think, is the part that blows my mind the most, is that, like, you will literally see traffic stop and back up because a line of turkeys is just in the road and they don't give a fuck.
Well, yeah, dude, that and it's like
people don't want to be a murderer
in like other rural areas where there's like fucking sheep or like cattle or like fucking countries like that in like Europe where you see these people driving and then all of a sudden they get to a part of the road and it's literally just fucking hundreds of fucking sheep just crossing the road and they just got to sit there and wait, dude.
Dude, I've seen people do that with geese all the time. Like Canada geese, bro. They'll be like cruising. Yeah.
This is kind of the dark side of this whole conversation. But did you guys ever see that video of that semi truck that was driving through the fog and you couldn't see shit really in front of him? You could hardly even see the line in the road, like maybe a foot in front of the fucking truck. And then all of a sudden, dude, just sheep. And you just hear it go. You just start seeing sheep just start going all different. Yeah. Exactly, dude. It was brutal, bro. I wasn't expecting it. It was one of those videos where, you know, you're just like scrolling or whatever, and you see this guy. You're like, damn, dude, this guy can't fucking see shit. I was like, oh no, he's gonna hit something, bro. And I was not expecting it to be a fucking herd sheep. I'll tell you that.
I can't fathom some of those circumstances, right? Because like we've
What do you
probably all
even do?
seen those clips where like people have to drive like some crazy mountain fucking edge road while you're running into those sheep. So now you've got a shitload of sheep and you can't fucking veer anywhere. You're just stuck.
Yep.
Oh God.
That's pretty much what that guy did. He didn't have anywhere really to go, so he just plowed on through, I guess.
Rough.
Yeah, bro. Brutal.
Yeah, but speaking of rough, where the fuck was the dog that was supposed to be herding those sheep, bro? He should know not to go on the fucking road.
Who knows?
Come
dude.
on now. Also,
He
why
could've
is
been
the
on
truck
those-
just ripping in that, like, how
Well, he wasn't
dangerous is
going
that?
like crazy fast. He was probably only going like maybe 35, but dude, 35's fast enough.
That's what I mean, though. Like 35 is fast enough to fucking do a lot of damage, not just a sheep. I would never have thought sheep, just like you said.
What do you think he's going to drive? 5 miles an hour?
Not drive until the fucking fog is further than
Hey,
10
bro,
feet
when you're
away.
a trucker, dude, you drive unless the fucking road isn't fucking drivable, dude.
Well, to me, that's not drivable. So I guess it all depends on what's not drivable. Right?
Yeah.
Like, to you. Like, to me, if I can't see, honestly, dude, if I can't see 50 yards ahead of me, I'm driving really slow. Even if I know the road, I'm driving slow because my luck, it'll be just some dude that's driving and he's on the other side of the road, or like somebody's driving really slow because of the fog, and I'm just going to hammer into them. And it's like, it's my fault. You know what I'm saying? Like, so maybe I'm just like, I'm more nervous. I don't even know if nervous is the right word. I'm just like more careful.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, right? Different countries and everything will have different regulations or lack thereof.
Yeah,
so that's
I never
one thing.
said at what country it was in because I'm almost guessing it was probably a European country with the amount of like sheep and stuff because you don't see it like
Yeah, it's probably
Wild
like Eastern
sheep.
European
Yeah.
or something.
You know, right?
not
So
really
like,
a big thing here.
there's probably zero regulation for that kind of shit. And at the end of the day, like, we've all had some horrible employers who don't give a fuck about worker safety. Now, talk about places with a zero regulation on the matter. I can see it. You know what I mean? It sucks that workers anywhere get put in a position where they have to choose between getting the job done to get paid or their own well-being. I guess thank God we live in more developed countries that have regulations, right?
I mean, yeah, like honestly, dude, like this is the thing. Like I'm not scared to admit this. Like I'm probably too soft to live in some of those countries, not because like I can't handle pain, I can't handle like standing up for myself or like whatever, but because laws allow people to do shit that I think is not right and I can't witness it. Like that's probably more it. So like I'd be like I'm too sensitive, maybe not soft, but I think that it's kind of one and the same. Like I would struggle seeing the way that people get treated in other parts of the world, and not being able to do anything about it. Like that is probably like would be my biggest thing about going to some of these places and like how people conduct themselves, and that's fine. Like I'm very Western when it comes to that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like I was born in Canada, bro. Like I was not born in a war-torn country. I was not born in a place where like there's just things that might have been the way that they were here 150 years ago. Like all those things, like that ain't for me. I don't even want to like visit places and see that stuff. Like I know that some people would be like, oh, it's always good to experience things and it makes you appreciate what you have. Dude, I already appreciate what I have. Like I don't need to see that other side to appreciate what I have. You know what I'm saying? Like me personally, I do not. It's fucking the world's a crazy place. And like, dude, there's probably that probably would happen in like first world nations or second world nations. Like, I guess it's not developed nations or developing nations. I guess is like what you're supposed to say. I think that's like the PC term for it now.
I mean,
it's not third world.
It's the thing, right? Like shit is happening everywhere all the time. I mean, shit. Right now, there's like no government in Haiti.
True, but like Haiti is one of those places that like it's not a developed world, right? And I probably would not want to be there, obviously, because I wouldn't feel safe. But I'd also would hate to see everything that there is to it.
It's craziness. It's utter craziness. But you can experience the good and the bad, no matter where you go.
Yeah, so. We're definitely blessed and lucky to live in the countries we live in. You know what I mean? Or to be born in the countries we live in. You know what I mean? Because we definitely have a lot of fucking privilege over a lot of other people, and I feel like that's one thing that it's one thing as not, I won't say all of us, but most people from like like America, like Northern America, Canada, United States, we tend to forget because we're so used to seeing our day to day that when we, because like there's times where like I'll see something and be like, wait, that's really going on, and then I forget that I live a fucking pretty pampered life just because of the country I live in allows us to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's good to keep that perspective that like all our problems really are first world problems.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Like with all the other bullshit and everything that you see on the news on the day to day, there could be way fucking worse things going on, and we're complaining about all the wrong fucking things right now. You know what I mean?
It's true.
We're focusing on way fucking smaller things when there's way bigger issues that are even happening here in the States, like with, the homeless population and, the opioid crisis that's going on and, all those things that, we should be worrying about, not worrying about whatever else they're talking about. If is Biden or Trump, whatever BS bullshit's going on there. I've kind of tapped out on it the past few months.
Dude, it's only ramping up too.
I know.
Like it's literally just ramping up.
I've tapped out, dude. It's just the system's broken in my opinion, and like I'm too high right now to really get into my whole opinion on it, but like there's way more things that need to be worried about, that we need to worry about and fix before we, start tackling some of these other issues that are in the mainstream news, or I wouldn't even really call it mainstream news too much anymore, because a lot of people, because that's the one thing I will say though. I don't know if you guys know this, but I feel like a lot more people are kind of waking up to like the kind of media push that the government, kind of has. And just how things are kind of, you got just a lot of propaganda and shit.
Like it's always been that way, though. Always.
Yeah, I know. I
always.
I agree, but I just feel like,
I mean, we can pull up cartoons from the 1930s that are literally American propaganda.
Dude, there's Donald Duck cartoons.
Dude, everything to do with the war.
About war
exactly.
And shit.
Like we've been doing this since the dawn of American media. It's always.
I just feel like
thing.
the thing that's happening now though is that with the internet being out there and the access to information and that sort of thing, I feel like more people are able to kind of sort out a lot of things, because I feel like a lot more things are kind of, I don't know if this is just because, I'm alive in this time and I'm noticing it more because it's just happening to me now. And that's why I kind of think this is what it is. But I just feel like a lot of people aren't so quick to believe everything that's put out on the news. And people are like actually more willing to do a little research because it's a lot easier to just Google something now compared to back in the day where you'd have to like
See, but that
go
would
to
be
a
great.
library or something.
That would be great.
All that
though.
stuff can't be real though. Like that's the thing.
If Google didn't push what got the most clicks.
Like what I will agree though with James is like, yes, I do feel that there's more people now that are against the grain and don't just fucking listen and just think that the government's only doing good things, which I think 40 years ago, most people, like if you ask 10 people, fuck it. If you asked 100 people, I bet you 90 people would say the government has our best intentions in mind. I trust what they're doing. Right. Yeah. Where I think that if you ask 100 people now,
I feel like I don't even know. That's kind of what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just putting it up there like that.
I guess that's probably was just like a better way of saying what I'm saying. But I'm not necessarily. I just said Google just because it was the first thing that popped up because there's way better and more reliable search engines that you. Well,
there's lots of opportunity to find information. Then you can decide what you think is true. Right?
Exactly. And you can make your own opinion up instead of just believing what's being pushed.
But that's
you didn't just have the source of like the 10 o'clock news saying, "Hey, this is what's going on." There's a lot more to it.
But that's where things get muddy, right? Because like we live in an age of disinformation too, where
for sure
there's so much wrong information available to people.
Dude, here's the thing, Sean. I can be a fucking reporter. James can be a fucking reporter. You can be a reporter. Are any of us actually qualified to be a reporter? Absolutely not. But we can be because there's opportunities for us to get our word out there and have people listen to what we're saying who might not be educated enough to decipher the fact that we don't know what the fuck we're talking about. And that is like part of the whole thing with social media. That's like what I see. Like, dude, I see it happen on Twitter all the time. People say like the most wild shit, not even to do with crypto, just in general. They'll say like the most wild shit. And then they'll have all these people in their comments that are like, man, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I was just talking about this with like my father-in-law the other day, whatever. It doesn't really matter. And it's like probably the most ridiculous shit that I've ever read. And I can't believe it even for a second. And I struggle to believe that people actually even think that way. But the facts are that they do. And that information gets out there, which only allows other people to feel that confirmation of like, man, look at this guy. He's saying the same stuff as I am. We have to be right. It's just like this fucking crazy thing, dude.
It's
like
called
part
confirmation
of me, it's like,
bias.
whoa, you know, like this is crazy. We live in crazy times. But then I also think like, man, this is crazy. We live in fucking crazy times. Like those are two. They said this. You're saying the same thing, but they're very different. Like, you know what I mean?
I think my main point is what I'm saying is the access to actual information is way more accessible now than it has ever been. Because if you do the digging, you can find factual and reliable sources if you're willing to do the digging, which to your point too, Sean, most people aren't willing to do the digging a lot of time. But I feel like there are a lot more now that are tending to do a lot more of the digging and are actually willing to like put the information out there in a little bit more of a digestible manner. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, there's sleuths everywhere, bro. Like there's literally people that are trying to solve crimes. There's people that'll be trying to solve mysteries. It's crazy. Like that's
and I'm saying this as somebody that everything that I know and talk about is something that I've either read or heard or have researched on the internet. You know what I mean? That's where all of my knowledge comes from now. You know what I mean? That's where I either develop or refine my opinions on certain subjects because I sit here and I read up on things or I look up things or, you know, I watch different things regarding those different things. And if I didn't have my computer and the internet to access that shit, I probably wouldn't take the time to learn some of the fucking stupid, senseless knowledge that I have, as well as actually learn some fucking shit to be able to talk about things in a more intelligent manner than I have before in the past.
But that's the thing, right? Is it like, I think you're forgetting that you are a rare thing, a rare person, because you do know how to do your own research. And that's like the crazy thing.
I don't think it's as rare as you think it is, Sean. I don't think
Flat Earth, perfect example. We have plenty of factual data to prove that flat Earth isn't real, but yet the flat Earth theory has grown in popularity over time. that's why I'm saying, like,
dude, there's people that still believe in the Loch Ness monster, Sean. You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be those things where there's going to be groups of people that still believe certain things. You know what I mean? It's like people that are super religious.
Never landed on the moon.
Or, you know, exactly. Some people, yeah.
But there's plenty of evidence that they have. And everybody will be like, oh, it's doctored. And, you know, you can't really make people believe everything. Some people are going to believe stuff just because they want to. So, like, I think that at the end of the day, yeah, people are definitely like more informed if they want to look into it, at least in the idea of questioning things, right? Where like before people didn't even question things. At least now, even if you're finding information that's not necessarily true, you still have people that are questioning these things and not just blindly believing. And I think that that's probably the biggest impact of all these things that we're talking about, right?
Right.
Just because
I want
now
to clarify.
People have the ability to like really free think. And like, if you want to think that there's a Loch Ness monster, I'm not going to tell you that there isn't. You know, if you think that the earth is flat, I'm not going to tell you it isn't. I'm going to say, I don't think that it is. This is why. I'm not going to say it's not, because what is the point? They've made up their decision. You know, they've made up their mind, and they'll think that they've done their due diligence and they've done all their research. So it's like, it's very difficult, but it also makes for exciting life and conversation.
I agree with you guys that it's great that people are questioning things more. I mean, I have been anti-authority my entire life, but what I find scary is that, like, I've been down that Alex Jones type rabbit hole, and how unhinged that world gets. And what I see is so many people who are hitting that fanatical level of the unhinged side of it all. And it's like, sometimes, more often than not, the most simple explanation is the real explanation. And that's just unfortunately super unsatisfying. But it's like the moon landing. Like, sorry, we have actual things there that prove that we were there. That's just not a satisfying answer. And so we want to believe in things that are crazy. And on top of that, we have proof that enough crazy things have happened. I mean, look at all the declassified CIA evidence out there. I mean, MK Ultra, that list goes on and on and on. So it fuels that conspiracy need. But I always want to be cautious when we get into conspiracy stuff, to be mindful that, again,
I wasn't even talking conspiracy.
I know, but that's where this questioning shit leads.
It doesn't always. Because, like, I can think something and I don't think that it's conspiracy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it always has to get to that point. I mean, does it lead to more conspiracy talk? Yeah, for sure. But that's what happens when people start asking questions. That's what happens when people don't understand what is happening and why it's happening. And you end up having just people form their own conclusions. So, like, that's just going to happen. I don't know if it means that, like, everything comes down to people thinking conspiracy. I think that it just comes down to people having the ability to go there if they want.
And that's what
maybe
I'm cautioning. Off. Well, no, I agree. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm cautioning, is that, like, it can lead there, and it leads there very quickly before you realize it. And it's like, I just encourage people that when you start to do that, don't go down that rabbit hole so crazy. Because then you do get into this wild shit with birds aren't real, and yeah, birds are real. Like, I know we were joking about it just what
at the
last
end of the
week.
Day, though, Sean, that just comes down to the person, and everybody has a different thinking process and a way of, you know, accepting information. So some people may go down that route, and that's just where they're going to go because that's just who they are. And some people might take it and be like Chris and be like, you know what, this is kind of what I think, and it is what it is. And then there may be people out there that are, you know, are out there just digging just because they want to find the root of whatever issue or topic or whatever, and they're gonna they're not sitting there looking for a conspiracy or looking to call things out. They're just looking for the facts. You know what I mean? Which those are the people at the end of the day that I feel like you should try to search out for when it comes down to looking for information, because those type of people are doing it in an unbiased manner where they're not picking a side. They're just looking for the roots of whatever said topic or issue or whatever may be. And that's where I find myself a lot of times, is going down that road. And that's just recently. You know what I mean? Because there had been times where I thought some dumb shit. You know what I mean? I was a young, dumb kid that, would see something and read the headline and be like, yep, that's what it is. And then somebody would tell me what the story was, and then I'd feel like a dumbass because, of course, I didn't read it. So, of course, now I read the stories, and then a lot of times it piques my interest, and I'm like, okay, well, this is what these people are saying. What does this say about it? And then what does this say about it? And a lot of times, if you read the same thing in a lot of places, sometimes you can kind of be like, okay, maybe there is some truth to this. You know what I mean? Depending on, of course, what the source is. If you're, going to like these crazy, just random tabloid sites, that's where you can run into some issues. But
yeah, the Sun isn't a real news organization.
Yeah. Or what's that fucking other one, dude?
The Inquirer?
No.
That is just a tabloid,
yeah,
for sure.
There's a difference between a tabloid and like an actual news source, or like, I wouldn't even call it news.
I think this almost falls back into that weird thing we've talked about before, where like everything gets monetized, and
yeah, because that's kind of what I was saying. You can't really call what was I saying? Mass media, or just media in general, popular media or whatever, news media. It's like, it's not a mainstream, is I think what I was saying. It's not anymore, because half of it's all being why can't I fucking say the fucking term? Being fucking funded by all these different companies, and they're being pushed to say certain things based off of whoever their shareholders or their fucking sponsors, or
I mean, most of them are owned by like 3 companies.
Pfizer.
So yeah, you get 3 companies that own all of the major news channels, and then you get a company like Pfizer that's like, hey, I got $10 million in advertising. All you got to do is not publish that story.
Yeah. Hey, you want to say some good things about our stuff every now and then too? That'd be cool.
And all of a sudden, hey, dude, that's why so many of those people, like, we see the clip go around all the time with like 27 different news channels all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
It's because they were all owned by Clear Channel.
It was verbatim the same exact thing.
Yep, those were
different
all
time
owned
slots,
by Clear
different
Channel.
channels, different cities, different states.
Yep, but all owned by one parent media organization. And what's interesting is I was just watching something about something similar, which was the Telecommunications Act of 1996, and when they consolidated the radio stations across America, and how that really impacted the music scene, and also put a similar strain on us, because now we had one company, Clear Channel being an example of that, who owned, hundreds and hundreds of radio stations and controlled what was said on those stations. So again, what news was said on all of those stations, but also what music was played. One person making all of those decisions for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stations all across the country. All as a result of this one act that was passed by Bill Clinton back in 1996.
It's all a sham. No, I'm just kidding.
So at the end of the day,
it's all bullshit.
State is there, people.
Yeah, it's the deep state, goddammit. They're after us all. We will have nothing and we'll like it.
Honestly, the thing that freaks me out the most is the CIA.
Oh, dude, let's not go there.
Like I said, if people want to go down a rabbit hole, look into the declassified CIA documents and see what we've done as the CIA through history.
Unabomber? What?
And you'll understand why the CIA freaks me out.
Charles Manson? What?
Like, is that MK Ultra?
Dude, isn't it just like one of those things like where one entity has too much power, it's dangerous? Like, no
Yep.
matter if they're good or bad.
Well, and not just the amount of power, but the lack of oversight. So they get these monstrous budgets and nobody's looking to see what happens with that money. And so they're pretty much able to do whatever they want. If they want to,
what's the term? Absolute power corrupts
absolutely.
absolute.
Yes, indeed.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like those who crave power don't deserve it, and those that don't want it probably
end up with it
the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, you ever notice like some of the best leaders are people that necessarily didn't want to lead, but just ended up getting put in that position, or ended up somehow becoming a leader just because people followed them.
A reluctant leader. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's tale as old as time.
Yeah. At the end of the day, all we can do is vote your hopes, and just think for yourself. You know what I mean? At the end of the day,
read the scientific paper. I know it's boring, but read the paper. You know what I mean? Like, read the study.
At the end of the day, sometimes, man, it may be boring, but after you read some shit like that and you actually retain that knowledge and are able to regurgitate it, it's actually pretty fucking cool. I feel pretty good about myself when I'm able to do that from time to time.
Right.
I know it's not always coherent, but I have had a gem come out here and there just in random conversations, and makes me feel pretty smart.
Dude, there's far less negatives that come from you finding out more information.
Here's the thing:
from you doing more learning. There's
talking
far
about power,
less negatives.
You know what real power is? Knowledge, baby.
Yes.
Knowledge is power.
Get in there.
Read all those papers. Read all those studies. Learn that shit. Don't listen to what they all tell you. Go read the paper that they're talking about and see what it really says. We learned that very, very intimately in the vaping scene.
Facts.
When you read the paper, you go, oh, actually, that's not a bad technology.
Wait, you mean it's 95% safer?
To the point, I follow a lot of weight and health people on social media because I like to get different tips and shit like that. And there's a fellow that I actually follow who talked about is vaping affecting your performance in the gym. And
I thought you were going to say in the bedroom.
And you already know I tensed up and I'm like, oh God, here he comes, right? Like he's going to say some dumb shit. No, this man came correct and was like, actually speaking, if you're smoking, vaping is a better thing for you to be doing because it's definitely going to be better on your lungs. And so you'll have better breathing. However, there are these few risks with cardiovascular things from inhaling, hot vapors. And so you may experience some problems with that. As we in the vaping scene will always say, and I'm glad to see other people echoing it, if you don't already smoke, you probably shouldn't vape. But he also echoed the benefits of consuming nicotine and how it can improve focus, it can improve drive, those sort of things.
I'll tell you what, dude, just from a personal experience, and I'm not even talking about vaping, but just having a fucking a nicotine pouch. And I know there's a big thing going on about this, and everybody's fucking raving about these right now. But I'll tell you what, dude, I put one of those things in during the workday. Dude, I just lock in for some reason. I put my headphones in and I'm just sitting there and I'm locked in. I'm not thinking about trying to sneak away to go grab a vape or nothing. I'm just locked in, ready to go. You know what I mean?
Yep. And that's the thing, man.
And then the days I don't use them, I'm a little bit more kind of groggy, just kind of like, you know what I mean? Tend to look around a lot more, kind of bullshit. I've noticed because I haven't used them at all this week just because I was doing an experiment. I wanted to see if I noticed a difference from not using them throughout the day. And I'll tell you what, I reach in my toolbox and I grab my vape a whole lot more throughout the day. not only that, but I end up, catching myself just kind of wandering and just thinking about random shit, and compared to just being like locked into whatever I'm doing at the moment. You know what I mean? Because most of the time I'll just super like tune into like whatever I'm listening to while I'm working. So I'm like really listening to what they're talking about, because I listen to podcasts all day. So I'm just like actively listening while I'm working. You know what I mean? Instead of just like kind of like having it in and just kind of like thinking about other shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Instead of just
like, whatever.
hearing it.
Yeah. I notice like if I don't, not saying that I need it, but I do notice that it does kind of make me lock in.
It affects the focus. And let's be honest, nicotine's a lot less harmful than methamphetamines for focus.
That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
All depending on how you consume it. You know what I mean? And
what else?
Most of the ways that I do is, at least with my pouches, is tobacco free. So there's no tobacco being used. So it's just nicotine salt derived. So I'm just getting the nicotine out of it, which is what I'm ultimately after anyway. And then with my vapes, I don't think any of mine are. I don't think this is TFN.
Well, I personally don't like the taste of TFN.
I don't really either, so I don't think it is.
I mean, it's unfortunate. But
at the end of the day, even if it is derived from tobacco, you're still only getting the nicotine because they're extracting just the nicotine from it.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of the day. Speaking of extracting things, I think it's time for another dab ski.
You didn't just smoke extracts?
Some of this modified mango. Dude, I was telling Sean earlier, Chris, I got quite the selection once again, as I do. And dude, there's these two strains that I picked up that I was like super stoked on. One in particular, some purple banana.
Okay.
Wasn't sure what exactly the cross was on it, but I saw purple and I saw banana and I was like, I'm in. So I looked it up, and it's a cross between Granddaddy Purple and it was either Banana OG or Banana Kush, one of the two. I think it was Kush. But dude, Granddaddy Purp is one of my all-time favorite strains. And anything kind of banana leaning, I've had both a Banana Kush and a Banana OG. And I was like, dude, I got to get this. Got to try it out. Tried it last night. Dude, it tastes like Granddaddy with a little hint of an earthy banana note at the end. Pretty damn tasty. But dude, this orange cookies I just took a dab of before the show started. And it's like, I don't know if you ever had this strain or if it ever made its way up to Canada. I'm sure you probably could find it there now. But there's a strain called Tangy. And it was like tasted like tangerines, dude. Like straight citrus in your mouth. And I opened this up and it reminded me of that so much, because this legit smells like an orange rind, dude.
Okay.
And it tastes super, super citrusy and just like almost has like a tang of like an orange. It's pretty damn good, dude. And of course, I got a bunch of other things that I'm sure I'll talk about in the next episode at some point, if it's still here.
I'm gonna get into this last dab of this 9-pound hammer.
Ooh, dude, solid strain.
Yeah, I'd take it easy on this one so I could savor it, because it was just that good. So cheers to everybody out there. The last dab of some 9-pound hammer.
Get this here blender heated up. If you guys have not got a terp timer and you're someone like myself that likes to use a slurp variation for a banger, highly recommend a terp timer. Super convenient. Helps you get that perfect dab every time. Dude, I was thinking about it the other day, Sean. I don't remember the last time I did a cold start dab, dude. Can't remember.
The interesting thing about cold start is that, like, I definitely don't like cold starting in a regular banger anymore. I only like it in my cold start banger. the thing for me is that, like, with my other two bangers, I've learned how to judge where that heat is just by, like, putting my hand over it and smelling it and that sort of weird stuff. Yes, I said smelling it. And through those couple of different techniques, I don't burn dabs very often in a regular banger without a timer. But I don't expect people to be weird like me and sniff their bangers.
Yeah, dude, I'd be too sketch because I'd get that thing too close to my face and burn myself.
Yeah, like
Wait, there's people that sniff their bangers to see if it's hot enough?
that's
Sean
literally how I
just
knew that
said
this was
he
ready.
does it.
I literally just sat over it, went, yep, that's ready for the dab.
Is it the scent or is it the heat in the nostrils that lets you know?
Both. It's both. So, like, obviously, it's not as easy to do. You really can't do that with your brand new, fresh, clean banger, right? It's got to be a banger that you've been using.
Oh, man.
And so that way you kind of just smell like that residual warmth from the vague leftover bits that you never get out with your Q-tip, right? You kind of learn what that smells like, and that's really it. You just kind of know. You feel the heat, you smell it, and you're like, all right, that's the right smell. That feels right. It's coming up on your nostrils, and there it is. You get used to that. I had a friend show it to me, and ever since, I've done it.
That was a very substantially large amount of vapor that came out of this thing. This is my post dab face.
Hell yeah. Well,
Brutal,
while you
bro.
recover from that, I got some great cannabis headlines that I can hit us with.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of different developments across the cannabis space. So most recently, President Joe Biden's new budget request again proposes to maintain the rider blocking Washington, D.C. from legalizing marijuana sales. It also, however, requests continuing a policy protecting state medical cannabis laws from federal interference. So that is just super, super frustrating that, can't get an actual dispensary in Washington, D.C. We have Drug Enforcement Administration officials reportedly at odds with others in the Biden administration over a recommendation to reschedule marijuana from the Department of Health and Human Services. The DEA personnel apparently concerned about increased THC potency. Get over it. People are going to do what they're going to do. It has had no adverse effects on the consumers in any of the legal markets. Get over it.
Well, dude, if you live for example, right? Like if you live in Washington, D.C., you can drive somewhere pretty quick. That's probably legal. Like, is Maryland legal?
That would be a federal crime to cross state lines.
Can you go there and get high, Sean?
What do you mean?
If I live in
go
Washington,
there and
D.C.,
get high in the state,
can I go to like Maryland for the evening? Go there,
Yes.
get high, sober up, go
Yes.
home.
Yes, you just cannot transport any product over the state line.
Fair enough. But like, so because what is Washington actually considered a sovereign state? Like, is it like its own place, just that, like, and it's actually a state? Like, what state are you actually in?
It is not a state. It is a
It's a district.
district. Yes.
But so like, how does that affect people there?
I don't.
It's like,
actually,
what state would it actually be?
It
has to be something.
It's not. Like, if you live in Washington, D.C., you don't actually live in a state.
So like Washington, D.C. has all of their own laws, like when it comes to everything? Or do they say we just take this state's laws?
It
we
is,
just
it
have
is
our
the
own
capital
special
of
sauce.
the country, so it is the federal hub, basically.
It's like a city state.
Yeah. I guess it's a good way to describe it, right? Like a city state.
Well, like I understand that, like it's not like Washington, Maryland.
It's like the Vatican, bro. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, it might be closer than we think.
No. Dude, that's a whole different fucking
But
situation.
like, so Washington D.C. would have all their own like laws when it comes to like marijuana, to countless other things.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So basically,
And who votes on that?
The people who actually live
People
there.
who live in DC. But it's technically in Maryland, isn't it?
So no, technically not. That's the weird thing. So the way that it's being
not
described,
it's
Physically, it is in Maryland.
it's touching Maryland.
so yeah, it borders Maryland and Virginia, but it is considered its own sovereign, if you will, land. It says the District of Columbia, commonly called Washington or D.C., is the capital city and sole federal district of the United States. It is on the Potomac River, across from Virginia, and shares a land border with Maryland to its north and east. D.C. was named for George Washington, founding father and first president of the United States. District is named for Columbia, the female personification of the nation.
There sounds like just like some shit to make stuff more complicated and them doing whatever the fuck they want, bro.
Isn't everything, Chris?
Yeah.
Isn't
So
everything?
basically,
Yeah, but like that's like over the top. That's like pretentious shit to me.
so
Dude,
the way
they were
this-
pretty pretentious back in those days, dude.
Yeah, this says the U.S. Constitution in 1789 called for the creation of a federal district under the exclusive jurisdiction of the U.S. Congress. As such, Washington, D.C. is not part of any state and is not one itself. The Residence Act, adopted on July 16, 1790, approved the creation of the Capital District along the Potomac River. The city was founded in 1791, and the 6th Congress held the first session in the unfinished Capitol building in 1800, after the capital moved from Philadelphia in 1801. The District of Columbia, formerly part of Maryland and Virginia and including the existing settlements of Georgetown and Alexandria, was officially recognized as the federal district. Initially, the city was a separate settlement within the larger federal district. In 1846, Congress returned the land originally ceded by Virginia, including the city of Alexandria. In 1871, it created a single municipality for the remaining portion of the district, although its locally elected government only lasted 3 years and elective city government did not return for over a century. There have been several unsuccessful efforts to make the district into a state since the 1880s. A statehood bill passed the House of Representatives in 2021, but was not adopted by the U.S. Senate. Designed in 1791 by Pierre Charles L'Enfant, the city is divided into quadrants, which are centered around the Capitol building and include 131 neighborhoods. And, of course, we also know that Pierre L'Enfant was a Mason and designed a lot of Masonic symbology into those streets.
Sick. That's crazy though, dude. I already kind of pretty much knew what you were talking about, but I've never like really looked too much into it. Because I know they've definitely have tried to become like their own state multiple times in the past. It was named after Washington. Didn't know the whole District of Columbia being named after the what would you say? The
goddess
Something of woman?
Columbia, who was the symbol of the personification of the nation.
Interesting. Never knew that.
Yeah, very interesting. So we just learned some really interesting history on Washington, D.C. Back to some cannabis news. New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu reaffirmed his commitment to signing a marijuana legalization bill as long as it meets his goal of a state-controlled market. He added that there may be some flexibility on his proposal to ban cannabis businesses from lobbying. So, hey, looks like there may be a future for legal cannabis markets in the state of New Hampshire. I'll have to see how that whole lobbying thing shakes out.
Do you guys know, like, this is probably a question you guys wouldn't know, but you might, Sean, just because, you know, like, of your work history. Like, if I came into a dispensary, okay, I'm assuming that you, like, ID basically everybody that comes in.
Yep.
Does it matter that, like, I would not have an American state license?
It does. And so it is at the discretion of the dispensary operator if they choose to accept non-American forms of ID. And that really just comes down to a safety thing because, you know, we don't have anything here to train people on all the ins and outs of all the different, you know, Canadian and Mexican and French and every other license around the world, right? So I know, like, in the place I had worked, we accepted Canadian, Mexican, and obviously, you know, American licenses because we could at least have enough data to verify those that, you know, and what we had access to.
Because, like, I know that even at Will's shop, right? Like, Will's shop, every purchase, like, he scans people's, like, IDs. And, like, it'll scan mine. Like, it'll actually, like, work on mine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I just actually wasn't sure because I was like, oh, man, like, the laws are different. It's not like I'm rolling into a liquor store. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, a liquor store, like, that's been around forever. So, like, if I'm of age, it doesn't really matter. But then when you're there, they could be like, well, I guess they could, you know, theoretically be like, well, you're not from here. Like, where are you going? And if I'm like, oh, I'm going to Ohio and I'm fucking buying weed in fucking Maine, they're probably like, sorry, dude.
Yeah.
Like, go ahead.
But that's
like,
the thing.
We're not going to sell it to you.
There's an unwritten law in that industry, right? It's a don't ask, don't tell. Like, I'm not going to question you as long as you don't say anything stupid. Like, the number of people that would say dumb shit and be like, oh yeah, I'm going on this long ass road trip and I need to, you know, have this blah, 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 blah. Well, listen, you can't be telling me that because I can't sell it to you because you're telling me that you're going to break the law. You know, just get your joints and keep it rolling. And then nobody's the wiser. It's none of my business.
Yeah, nobody feels obligated to do anything.
That's it. It's none of my business what you do with the product once you've made your purchase until you make it my business. If you make it my business, now I have to do something because you've made it my business.
The only thing they'll tell you is just don't consume in our parking lot.
That's it, you know? That's it.
Oh, have you guys been told that before? I've never even heard.
Well, okay. They'll have signs or stuff posted like no consumption in the parking lots and stuff.
Some
depending on like what
on-site security, that'll just be like, you know.
Exactly. Most people have like at least 2 security guards, one like at the door and one like in the actual shop.
Dude, that just shows you right there. I've never seen anything like that ever up here. Like, I've never even seen security. Like, I've never seen a person working by themselves. So there might be like 2 people working at the shop, maybe 3, maybe even 4 at a busier shop. But I've never seen like
you ain't got no
like,
security, bro.
Armed
you might
security,
not have any weed
nothing.
Later on.
What's that?
Said you don't have security out here. You might not have weed.
Yeah.
So
maybe
true.
There's just like less crime. Like, I mean, that's definitely possible.
I'm not saying like it's like 100% going to happen, but like depending on like what areas you're in, it's probably going to happen.
Well, and also if they're not there, like the security guards might not actually ever do anything, but if they weren't there,
exactly,
something could happen. Yeah, no, I understand. I
think it might be.
I don't see it.
Yeah, a lot of places do have regulations for that. Some it's by town. Some it's, you know, the state as a whole. I know, like where I worked, they employed a security team for the evenings. That way, you know, when things were most likely to be popping off, we had security there, and they were also there to make sure that like all the staff got to their vehicles safely at the end of the night and all that sort of thing. And thankfully, a lot of places will employ, retired police, firefighters, things like that, people who are already kind of connected into that law enforcement municipality realm, which pays dividends because, if you have a retired police officer as your security guard, then if he makes the call, they're there in seconds for your shop.
Yeah, and you also like hope that he will conduct himself in a proper manner and be capable.
That too.
Like that. So I mean, I see the reasoning. I guess I just for whatever reason, like I never see that because like, do you guys have security guards at liquor stores?
No, but that's federally legal.
Yeah.
Is that the big difference? If it's legal in that state, like I would have just assumed it'd be the same thing.
But that's the thing is that there isn't a thriving black market for alcohol the way there's a thriving black market for cannabis still.
Exactly.
So do you think like 10 years that might not be the case then?
I would hope. I think any business runs that risk, right? Like, doesn't matter what you do. Liquor stores get smash and grabs just as much as jewelry stores, weed stores, all of
Even
that.
Walgreens have fucking security guards.
Right. So like, I think that risk is always there when you sell product of any kind. I think the funny thing is that with dispensaries specifically, a lot of that stuff has to be locked in vaults and shit like that. And it amuses me that those become targets.
Yeah, partially because it's not all technically the product; it's also the money. Because a lot of depending on what state you're in, some states you're not technically allowed to use like the banking systems because it's not federally legal.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it might be like a national bank or whatever.
Yeah, so you'd probably if you don't have some workaround of a way to taking like a debit card or something like that, you're working with a lot of cash. So that means there's a lot of money on the premises at the same time. You know what I mean? So it's like they may not because it's like almost like robbing a bank. Because like you're
well, I guess there probably on average would be more money at a dispensary that was really busy than a liquor store that was really busy. But like, I mean, it's not like there wouldn't be a lot of money at a liquor store. But I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
A liquor store would have
pickups to come empty the safe every now and then and fucking pick up cash or whatever, or they'd do a drop off of their own at the bank because they're allowed to work with the bank, so they're not having to have all this cash.
Oh, so what? Dispensaries couldn't have the same thing? The pickup couldn't come pick up the cash?
No, because they can't use the banks, dude.
Yeah, so
where do they keep their money?
In a safe.
Fuck if I know. Safes.
So they just have like 30, 40, $50 million in a safe?
Not necessarily.
I'm not sure exactly how the laws are now, but like when everything first started, like they technically can't work with banks, dude.
Yeah. So basically what has to happen is you have to be fortunate enough that a small independent local bank is willing to work with you and allow you to put some cash away.
Yeah, like a credit union, I would assume, would let you do that.
Possibly. It's up to them if they want to assume that risk.
I should look this up maybe.
And then from there, the other option is you have to use a company like Brinks, a security.
Yeah, like Brinks or Guard World or whatever.
Yeah.
And like an armored car service.
Exactly. And that is how you move money. And I know like when I was working in that industry, that is a very common thing is a lot of those places, they use those armored security companies like that. And it's because in a single day, a dispensary could be pulling in $80,000 to $100,000 in cash alone.
Okay, I just found this official website of state of California, Department of Cannabis Control, California. Banking and insurance. A business uses financial services to pay for expenses. Save money. Hold on, let me see here. Yeah, so it says federal law requires financial institutions to monitor and report certain information about cannabis businesses. If your financial institution needs information about you to provide service, you can authorize the Department of Cannabis Control to share information. This may make it easier to get access to financial services for your business. So I guess you can out here in California now.
Yeah, I'm
But
sure.
they just need to know about your business and make sure that it's like probably an actual fully licensed business through the state of California. And you probably have to make sure you have all your insurance and whatever else you may need.
Yep. And you don't get any tax breaks as a business in cannabis because you're not federally legal. Unless, of course, you know how to cook the books.
You might get a state tax.
Yeah, you might be able to do a state tax, but like all those federal tax, business taxes, none of those. It's crazy. Tough. It's real tough. That's why we keep hoping for the Banking Act to go through. Fingers crossed one day we'll make that happen, so that, or even this deschedule, we can get that deschedule to happen. That could open up the doors even more for banking to be more widely available and allow for these tax opportunities so that these businesses can thrive. So more exciting news. Chairs of two Hawaii House committees set to take up a Senate-passed marijuana legalization bill this week discussed the benefits of the policy change, with one predicting it can win enough votes to be enacted into law this year. So we're still looking like we might be able to smoke that Maui Wowie sitting on the beaches of Maui. Fingers crossed that happens. What do we got? I love this one. The Virginia delegate who sponsored a bill to prevent state officials from using marijuana alone as evidence of child abuse or neglect slammed Governor Glenn Youngkin's veto of the measure, saying the move will unnecessarily tear children away from their parents. So, yeah, that is a rough one. Fuck that. Taking children away from their parents just because they use cannabis is really, really bullshit.
That's wild, dude.
So that just blows. We've got Delaware's Office of the Marijuana Commissioner published another set of informal draft rules for their legal cannabis market, this time touching on issues relating to testing, sampling, disposal, variances, and fee schedules. So Delaware is getting much, much closer. That's a big one. We're happy to hear that. We got a new study concluded that using CBD is tied to the reduction in menstrual-related symptoms, including irritability, anxiety, and stress. Importantly, changes in symptoms appeared in the first month of CBD consumption and persisted over the 3 consumption months.
You hear that, dudes? Hook your girl up.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yes. Yes. It'll be a good one. I promise. A new study found that there is strong bipartisan support for allowing people to use psilocybin for treatment or enhancement, with 91% of liberals and 86% of conservatives saying that using the psychedelic for treatment is morally good.
Hell yeah.
That is...
Turn of the tide, my friends.
Yeah, that is like... morally good. I'm here for that. The Minnesota Office of Cannabis Management and Department of Health launched a new effort to examine whether cannabis flower being sold in the state is legal hemp or illegal marijuana. So if you're out here and you're using your hemp products to create Delta-9 products, Minnesota is coming after you, and that's unfortunate. There's definitely a lot going on in that world. Very, very scary stuff. There's a Florida bill right now that could basically remove all hemp products from the state of Florida, which would in turn make it so that you had to get your CBDs derived from the actual medical cannabis industry, which would cost you a whole lot more money. It's very unfortunate. The bill is sponsored by none other than the villains themselves, True Leave, and they're backing this Ron DeSantis bill. So yeah, shout out to Florida. That is going to be a very, very sad one if that all comes to fruition, and I think it's going to. We have Senator Steve Daines says that he doesn't think federal marijuana rescheduling would imperil a cannabis banking bill. And I agree. I think it would actually help the banking bill. So glad to see that there's some federal support for that. Senator Susan Collins of Maine has pressed the FBI Director Christopher Wray about what his agency is doing to respond to illegal Chinese-backed marijuana cultivation operations in her state. So this was actually a really big local news story in my area, where they actually busted this illegal grow that was going on in Maine, and it was completely being funded by a Chinese organization. And they had 3 Chinese nationals operating it in the state of Maine, which I guess, on one hand, says to me that, Maine still really does grow some really good weed on the East Coast.
Here's the thing, dude. China owns a lot of fucking farmland and shit here in the States already, dude. So what makes you think they ain't gonna get into the fucking cannabis fucking, you know what I mean?
Dude, most people in that instance would probably get into whatever can make the most money.
Well, I think
so. If it is cannabis, then that's what they'll get into.
They're upset that it's not licensed. At the end of the day, right? Like, the taxman's not getting their cut in the state of Maine, and that's why she's mad. If you just registered as a business and grown, she'd have been happy. But that's why she's not happy. Is you didn't give her.
They were growing though.
That's a good question. I'm curious. I'd love to know.
Are there any like land strains from like China?
Oh,
like
absolutely. Some of the earliest known instances of archaeologically found cannabis were found in China. So
that's what I thought. I don't know any. Any of
I'm literally Googling it as we speak. Chinese land race strains. Let's see what we get out here, because I'm very, very curious.
Because I've heard of like a Thai stick. You know what I mean? Because they like when I think that when they either when they're drying it or curing it, they time to
it's tied to a stick.
Yeah, like a stick.
Oh, I thought that was just the formation. Like the buds are like really far apart, and it's like a long stick. It's not like the same buds that we have.
You can find videos
because it's from Thailand.
Yeah,
for sure. I've never heard of one specifically from China, but I mean, like, there's definitely ones in the Middle East, and there's definitely ones in like South Asia.
Yeah. So basically, what I'm finding is that it's really a Central Asian kind of way that they're approaching it. So they're approaching it more by a geographic region. And so, like, I'm looking at one right now for Central Asian landrace strains, and they do actually include things like Hindu Kush, Afghan Kush, Pakistani Kush. So the Kushes are mostly landrace strains of the Central Asian descent. That's interesting.
I can see that.
Let's see. Yeah, hard to come across anything else that'll tell us more about, like, specifically home to China. Also, with China's, secrecy of a lot of different information, it's going to be a little bit harder to come by that information, I'm sure. I have to start looking into some strain hunters and find out some more information. So what else do we have here? We got Representative Earl Blumenauer of Oregon said he thinks the Drug Enforcement Administration should reschedule marijuana on April 20th.
Hell yeah.
I agree. I don't think it'll happen because it sounds like the DEA is being a bunch of whiners. But, fingers crossed, maybe we can get some shit to happen. Representative Doug LaMalfa of California spoke in a House floor speech about how deadly chemicals and people are being trafficked to work on the illegal marijuana grows in California.
Wait, what?
Very interesting. I don't know much about this. I'd like to read in on this phenomenon. It wouldn't surprise me, honestly. I've heard a lot of crazy stories of some of the old gorilla grows back in the day, so it wouldn't surprise me. But I'd love to read into that because I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I've got some more state news. Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey is reportedly planning to announce a move to seek mass marijuana pardons this week. Separately, the Cannabis Control Commission is planning to hire a new executive director. So, yeah, there was a lot of turmoil with the Cannabis Control Commission in Massachusetts. A director was ousted, so they're looking to replace her. And yeah, some people will be getting some marijuana pardons coming their way. So good for them. That's exciting. That could really change some people's lives, hopefully. Rhode Island's Attorney General opposes a bill to decriminalize drugs. Just in general, a decriminalization. So no surprise there. Most people are opposed to that.
Yeah.
A New York senator discussed his support for repealing the excise tax on medical cannabis. I'd love to see that in all states. An Ohio representative spoke about a bill he's co-sponsoring to reimburse municipalities for costs to replace police dogs that are trained to detect marijuana, which is now legal. So I'd love to look into that one a little bit because I really hope he's not saying that it's up to the cannabis companies that are succeeding in Ohio to then repay these municipalities for their now useless police dogs.
Oh, because the dogs only would sniff for marijuana?
So
that is what this is.
They're trained for.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that they were like trained for like all sorts of like marijuana, for coke, for fucking heroin and shit. Meth, why not?
I'm sure they probably are. They're probably just trying to pull a quick one. Pull a fast one on them.
Yeah, this could very well just be an example of a politician not knowing anything about how any of that works.
Crazy to think about. I can't even believe that. That's wild.
Very, very possible.
Yeah, because you got drug sniffing dogs and then you got bomb sniffing dogs.
Search dogs.
But
There's so many different
I wonder
things
if there is like ones that are only like trained to first, like maybe like a certain type, like a hard drug.
I mean, I know that like there are definitely drug dogs, bomb dogs, attack dogs, that sort of thing, right? And I know that they're not often like cross-trained in the sense that like you're not going to have a bomb sniffing dog also do drug, right? I don't believe that you only train a dog to alert on one drug, though. That seems dubious to me.
Yeah, because like if you're gonna like take them on like a bus to like find something, and they only have like one thing, and
bring the cocaine dog.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, we brought the crack dog. My bad. We'll be back.
Yeah.
How awful.
Oh, this dog only knows how to find weed, bro. You didn't tell us we were looking for coke.
Yeah, he's got to be retired.
Could you imagine how awful that is? You're on the bus and they got to parade 27 dogs to sniff out all these different various drugs. All right, now we got to send in the explosive dogs.
Yeah, they got to bring like 10 dogs to take a lap.
It's like maybe we should have sent the explosive dogs in first, guys. That bomb went off after 8 dogs went through there, and like we had an opium dog in there. And it's like
we had plenty of time, and we fucked up.
Yeah. It's like maybe if we just had one dog that could kind of do most of this shit, we'd probably good.
That is a curious question. I wonder.
Well, let's see. What else we got in here? A Pennsylvania Department of Health spokesperson said Governor Josh Shapiro's administration looks forward to working with the General Assembly to determine the details for the legalization of adult use cannabis. So Pennsylvania is well on their way to adult use. Congratulations, Pennsylvania.
I think they finally have got, but hopefully within like the next like year, they'll start having their shops start popping up for recreation.
Yeah, Ohio's framework is being built as we speak. They're getting down to business to start hammering out the framework in Pennsylvania. We've got California regulators issued a mandatory recall of marijuana products due to the presence of aspergillus. So,
What is that? Actually, you know what? Don't worry about it. It
Yeah.
sounds bad.
What is it?
Let's
I
just,
want to know. I'm in
it
California.
sounds bad.
but it was
what
recalled, so you're safe.
Unless I
Aspergillus.
got it before it was recalled.
It's a fungi.
True.
It's a type of fungal disease. A type of mold, if you will.
Ew.
So, yeah, moldy weed. Recalls being done. Hooray for recalls on moldy weed. Yeah, a lot of bad weed that
Yeah, it wasn't cured properly,
yeah,
or it
not
got
good.
wet.
Dude, I actually was like really worried about that. So like when weed first became legal here, like it was crazy. Like I used to know the number, but I don't remember. I do roughly remember that I ordered from like, so at the time you could only order from this place like OCAS, which was like Ontario Cannabis, fucking whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I ordered within the first hour of like the site going live, and I was like, order 74,000. But I don't remember what like the actual money that was made on like the first day, 2 days. But like, dude, when it first opened, it took I almost want to say it almost took 3 weeks for me to get the weed. Like almost 3 weeks. About 6 to 8 months later, I ordered a second time from that site, and that's only that was the second and last time. I got it in like 3 days. Like I ordered it on like a Saturday, and it was there by like Tuesday. You know what I mean? So like shit went fucking crazy.
Dude, this goes back to my California privilege, because you say that like ordering shit and then not showing up for a couple days. I'm like, damn, dude, I wouldn't even order. If I couldn't get that shit delivered to my door same day, bro, I'm not fucking ordering, bro. I'll go find.
Yeah, but I think that was just like was fresh, right? So like when weed first came legal for you, like
that
you
was
weren't buying weed.
I'm just saying
like,
that was
through
just the
that.
first thing that popped in my head when you said that, bro. Like I
Yeah, because like it's not like that now. Like, dude, now I can literally drive to like any town that has like 5,000 people have like a dispensary. I can have like weed delivered the same day, maybe even where I live now. I might even be able to get weed delivered here.
Dude, it also kind of reminds me that when you'd like hit up your fucking weed guy back in the day and be like, hey, can I get a bag or whatever? And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, I'll hit you up in a minute. He's like, or yeah, whatever. And then like he fucking ghosts you for the day. And then you fucking gotta wait for another day to get some shit because he's your only fucking connect. And then you hit him up that day, and then he still don't get back to you. And then you finally get a hold of him, get a hold of something like in the third day. That's kind of what that reminds me of, bro.
Dude, that's like how, like, no joke, man. Between me and all my friends, like back in like the high school, the young days, even like in our early 20s, like when you'd have like one or two friends that did deal drugs, and like sometimes they'd just be out. You'd have to have like that like combined Rolodex vibe. Like everybody would have somebody that they could call in that emergency like scenario. You know, it's like, oh, John Doe doesn't have weed. Jane Doe doesn't have weed. Like, what are we gonna do? We're just gonna have to wait and not have weed. It'd be like, nah, don't worry. I got 5 numbers to call. I got 2 people to text. We might have to drive 30 minutes, but we're going to get it. Like, it was like, you kind of got to that point. But yeah, at the beginning, dude, like when you were first, like when I was first getting into weed, bro, like I didn't have a fucking car. Like I had a bike. I could have ridden my bike, like, I guess, to go get weed. But like, that also involved you knowing people. Like, I started smoking weed when I was in grade 8, bro. Like I was going and getting weed like in grade 8. I didn't know people. It was like, and it wasn't an everyday thing either. It would be like, so-and-so's older brother's getting weed. Does anybody want weed? Yeah, we want weed. And then they would get it. And then you just like go to your friend's house and you get the weed. Like it wasn't like crazy. But when I became a teenager, then it was like mission still. You just had a lot more opportunity. You'd still have a mission to get it, but you'd be able to get it if you're willing to fucking put in the work. You know what I'm saying?
You're giving me flashbacks of those missions where it's like,
Dude,
you gotta
I'm
pick
thinking
up your
about the
boy.
missions, bro.
You know,
You
you gotta go
sling
pick
a
up your
couple
boy.
slacks first.
You gotta go drive somewhere, fucking to go meet his boy, and you gotta go drive somewhere else to go get the weed. And you gotta like, oh my god,
Dude, the missions that I would do sometimes for like an eighth. And then, dude, finally I stepped up and then I started getting like fucking like quarters and like half ounces and shit. And I was like,
Dude, you're talking about like way more. Dude, I would go through missions to get a fucking dime bag, bro.
oh, dude, if I was going on a mission, bro, I was going to get something that at least last me a day or two.
Well, no, dude, but that's like, dude, I don't have the money for that. Like every day I would get weed, I would have to scramble to get that fucking $10
every day. That's my thing.
No, but what I'm saying, James, is any time that I got weed, I would be scrambling to get even $10. It didn't matter if it was like a Saturday and then I didn't look for weed again for 5 days. I'd be scrambling for the $10. I didn't have the 30 or $40 to grab a half quarter.
Well, I didn't really
no
start
chance
smoking weed until I had a job when I really started smoking weed. So I always had at least a little bit of cash. I could always at least come up on like a 20 bag.
That was like a good day. Like you actually, that'd probably be what I could find with another person pitching in. It's like, yo, you want to split a fucking 20 bag?
At a certain point, I got to know. Well, I guess when I first started, it probably wasn't like that. But like when I was like consistently, like it was like an everyday thing. I was smoking every day. I had like the one homie that I just got to, and it's like, all right, let me get this.
Dude, I had one buddy that would buy like a 20 sack every single day. And we'd always be like, why don't you just buy more? And he's like, because I can only find $20. I'm like, but you find $20 every day. I'm like, why don't you just but then I will, what? So what? I just don't smoke a day? It's like, I mean, hey, maybe. Like, you know what I mean? Like maybe just like every other day, then you just buy a half quarter and make that last instead of, you know, losing out on 0.5.
Here's the thing,
like,
dude. I finally came to that realization at a certain point myself. So I started getting like, you know, eighths and like quarters and stuff like that. But then, you know what I started noticing real quick, bro?
Yeah, you'd smoke more.
The bigger the sack, the faster it went.
Yep.
I was always like used to just basically smoking the same amount of weed all the time. Like I'd go to my best friend's house, we'd get there, we'd go like crank 2 Bs.
Though, bro.
Oh man, we would just like go crank 2 bongs, then go inside, maybe smoke a cigarette, then go inside, play like Mario Kart for like an hour, hour and a half, maybe like a couple of fucking.
See, for us, bro,
you know,
we'd
cups.
be sitting there and we'd smoke probably like 2-3 blunts, and we'd literally just sit in the garage and just every 5-10 minutes somebody'd either start passing a bowl around or a joint would be going around. And I mean, we'd sesh, bro.
Yeah, like there's 5 of us, so I pack the bong, then you pack the bong, then he rolls a joint, then she rolls a blunt, then he packs the bong.
At least 3 of us at all times, and the majority of the time, all 3 of the people in the room would have weed. So it'd be like, all right, I'll start the first one, you get the next one, you get the next one, or I'll roll the first one, you roll the next one, you roll the next one, or whatever. And then we just sit there and just fucking whoever was there. And then eventually someone else would pop in and they'd either be picking up or they already had some, so they'd throw in. And then, you know, the next person would show up and of course, same situation. And then be like just that never ending circle until eventually either I smoked my whole bag or somebody else smoked their whole bag, or it was fucking 4 or 5 hours have probably gone by at this point and it's time to go home.
Yeah, we looked at the time and went, oh shit, you know, I still got to do some shit.
Or we got to go grab some food and shit because the munchies kicked in, and then we go and eat, fuck around for a little bit. And then, of course, once the food digests and, you know, the high wears down, it's like, all right, another sesh. And then to go commence for another like hour or two. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that was like a Wednesday night after school.
Oh, yeah. Well, not after school for me. It was mainly after like work or whatever. Because, like I said, by that point, I was already graduated by the time I started heavily smoking. Yeah. The thing I maybe did once my senior year, but...
That was like every day when I was 16, 17 years old.
Yeah, dude. That was like me in my late teens, early 20s, bro. From 18 to like, I don't know, say like 22, 23, maybe. I still smoke consistently every day, but I don't really do the sessions and stuff much anymore.
I remember at 16 making it a New Year's resolution to smoke weed every day.
Oh, damn it.
I was gonna
hit. No, I looked at my soundboard, Sean, because I have that soundboard.
You were gonna do this?
I was
smoke
gonna
weed every day.
I was gonna Nate Dogg you, bro. I was gonna Nate Dogg you.
Yep.
It was the perfect timing, man.
That's the funny thing, though, is that like I made that resolution when I was 16, and I didn't break it for years. Years. I just started and never stopped.
Yeah, dude, it's kind of crazy because, dude, back in the day, we'd go on missions. Like me and the homie, we'd either have to go, maybe sling a couple of things to go pick up a little something, and I'd get a little something out of it. Because, dude, a lot of times I'd just like be like the chauffeur, and that's how I'd end up getting weed. A lot of times, it's like I'd just get kicked a little something for driving whoever around, which was sick. So it was like free weed, but eventually it ended up costing me gas money too. But then, dude, the best times when you get kicked gas money and a sack, dude, because then you're just like, today was free, bro. You know what I mean? So, and a camo with weed, bro. And then things got really good when you started getting in on the fucking other side of things and getting in on grows. And then at the end of it, you end up with a quarter pound. You know what I'm saying? Or a quarter, and then it's like, sick. What am I going to do with all this weed? I ain't going to smoke all this weed, but I sure could make some money with it. And,
Yep. And that's why
I used to be like a huge fan of like just, if I like got like a crazy deal, lots of times like I'd just be like, yo, ship me fucking $10, I'll smoke you all night. I mean, like they'd be like, what?
I would just still just throw fat sessions, bro. I would just take like probably half of what I got for myself, and then the other half I would, make a little cashish. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess it all depends. Like at times in my life, yeah, dude, I definitely chop weed. But like when I was in my 20s,
I had like maybe one or two people I would hook up, and the only reason why I did is because they were like homies, and they would pick up like half. So it's like I wasn't like doing like small. So it was I didn't feel
like
as much
people,
pressure.
Like you had to go meet all the time.
Yeah, I wasn't fucking around with a bunch of people. It'd just be like one or two of the homies be like, "Hey, dude, you got something? Let me get like a half." Like, dude, got you. I do that 1 or 2 times. Good to go, dude.
Yeah, got a couple $100 or so in the pocket.
Yep.
Whole bunch of weed still.
You got the beer money for the night, dude.
It's good.
Go buy a fucking couple fucking packs of some Swishers.
Yeah,
that was back in the blunt days, bro. Big Swisher guy.
Yeah. Don't fuck with the blunts no more.
I can't do it, dude. Can't. Well, here's the thing. I can't. I won't say I can't. I just will say I haven't, and I probably won't.
No,
because
I straight up can't. I've tried. It's
dude, even joints now are kind of brutal for me since I've like stopped combusting completely. Whenever I do, dude, it's rough. It's rough.
I haven't combusted in coming up. It might be 3 years, like this summer.
Was whenever the last time I was in Vegas. That was the last time.
Yeah, man, I just haven't smoked, bro.
So it's been at least a year or two.
Fuck that. We were just talking about something, and I wanted to say something, and now I forgot what it was. What were we just talking about, like right before that?
Slinging sacks.
Yeah, making money off of that grass.
I forget. We're good.
That's all right.
Sorry about that, boys.
It's all right because Gina's giving us the signal. She's ready for another one, but she needs us to wrap it up first. So
Damn.
Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Gina, for like legit making it seem like I didn't have time to get it out. Because I did remember. I was just playing. I knew she was in my ear, all that stuff.
Go ahead and fire out that torch, Gina.
Whatever helps you sleep at night, Chris.
Bro, it's a conspiracy, man. Gina, bro. No, I'm just kidding. Sean, I'm not gonna like make you say, yo, Chris, take it away. I'm just gonna go ahead. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. Of course, it's always fun doing this regardless. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it this week. Of course, you can check out shedtimepodcast.com. Check out all the good things that are over there. Lots of good vibes, lots of Shed Time vibes. So go check that out. Of course, we got a Patreon. That link is on there as well. Just help us create better content is ultimately what probably giving a little bit of money. And I do appreciate everybody that does immensely. So, thank you very much for that. Of course, you can check out the three of us every Friday night on Frames Ankle Vapor's YouTube channel for the Green Room. Just always have fun. And we just recently had like a 5-year of the show. It's been going on for 5 years. Of course, like my 5-year anniversary is not until like this summer. But ultimately, it's like been 5 years. It's fucking crazy. I've been there for the entire time. I just wasn't on there the entire time. But come by and check it out. Like, even if you just come by and check it out and you're like, oh, you know what? That's not for me. That's fine. Maybe it will be. Just come by and check it out. And I think that's everything for me. So everybody be safe. Have a good week and live your best life.
All right. Shedheads, shout out to all of you guys for tuning in and hanging out. We greatly appreciate you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. If you did, leave those 5-star reviews. Greatly appreciated. Of course, Chris already plugged all the things. Go check out Patreon. Go check us out on Friday on my YouTube channel, all that stuff. Good times. Just love hanging out with the dudes, having good conversations. And if you want to, interact with us live, of course, hit us up on Fridays. Other than that, I'm going to just end it as I always do. You know what I mean? Send out all positive vibes, crispest of high fives. Don't forget to tell somebody you love them. And of course, a little bag or dab will do ya. Sean.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, of course, do go check out shedtimepodcast.com. You can find the link to the merch site. Grab yourself some Shed Time swag. You know what I'm saying? And rock that Shed Time lifestyle just like we do if you so choose. Of course, link to the Patreon, so much more over there. Green Room. Awesome show. Definitely worth your time. Great way to connect with us and always a lot of fun. And with all of that, you know what I'm going to tell you? Don't let the bastards get you down. Be cool. Don't be a dick. And whatever you do, be sure and have some fun. Because you know what? It's the Shed Time Podcast. And it's time to roll on up and roll on out. Dynavap. Looking to cut the cord on your dry herb vape? Dynavap. Trying to get the best taste from your herb? Dynavap. Ready to take your sesh to the next level? Then meet Dynavap, the best way to vape your flower or concentrate. Concentrates? That's right. Your flower or hash can be vaped using Dynavap. Check out Dynavap.com to learn more. That's Dynavap.com. Lose the ash? Dynavap.
What's going on, Shedheads? It's your boy, Frames Janklin. Are you looking to step up your match game or have a raw copper, brass, or stainless mod or RDA that you're absolutely tired of polishing? Then you need to go and hit up my man Ashton of Palmer's Powders. He does some absolutely amazing powder coating work. He offers many different colors and finishes at an absolutely killer price. This man is taking powder coating to a whole new level, and he can make your setup an absolute masterpiece. You can go follow him over on Instagram at Palmer's Powders, and you can go check out pricing on his website, palmerspowders.com. That's palmerspowders.com. And as always, let's just vape on, Shedheads.
I want you to think of your favorite rebuildable right now. Yeah, okay, so you have a layer cake in your hand, and now you're about... Oh, sorry, yeah, that's not everyone's favorite. That's just mine. So think of your favorite rebuildable atomizer. Think about how good of a vape it produces for you. Now, take that and amplify it. And the way that you amplify that is you put in some Breezestone coils. Breezestone coils are handcrafted in Adelaide, Australia. They're made from some of the finest quality wire that you can get. I believe it's wire Buddha. You take those coils, you take them out of that phenomenal packaging that clearly shows how much care that Adam puts on the quality of his coils and the insurance that you get them in good shape. You put them in that favorite RDA, and guess what? You have coils that now sing better than Celine Dion. Go check out Breezestone Coils. You can find them on localvape.com and also steelvalleyvapors.com. Suck, dude.
You sound like a transformer, dude.
Yeah, like a megaphone, megazord thing.
Autobots, roll out.
Dude, honestly, like I'm pretty high, and I thought that was a recording. So there's that. I was like, yo, Sean did a recording of that.